another episode of Urja Talk. I'm your host, Muskan Jain, and today diving deep into the topic that lies at the heart of sustainable development, rural economic development and decentralized renewable energy. Our guest today is someone who has spent over 26 years transforming rural communities with his innovative ideas and hands-on approach. We are honored to have Peter with us today. Peter has worked on numerous projects ranging from bamboo design and disaster rehabilitation to empowering women in rural areas with appropriate technologies. His passion for creating sustainable livelihoods through innovative solutions has truly been an inspiration for many. Peter, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Muskan. Nice to be here.
Let's jump right into it. Peter, you have worked extensively on empowering rural communities by teaching them how to create bamboo products through the Bamboo Cell initiative. Bamboo has been a critical resource in many rural areas. From your perspective, how do you see bamboo-based technologies contributing to rural economic development, and what role can decentralized renewable energy play in scaling these initiatives?
Bamboo is a renewable source. It's readily available throughout India in the jungles and things, and is very easy to propagate. Doesn't require maintenance and has numerous properties that, from craft, building, from food source, you can eat bamboo shoots, you can build houses with it, you can make fine items, utilitarian items and things. We've also experimented even in construction techniques with bamboo. So bamboo can replace things like even steel reinforcement in construction of buildings and things, in particularly in rural areas where it's very difficult to get access or availability of conventional building materials. So using the bamboo is a big benefit to the villages and things, and it's as durable, if not stronger, than the conventional construction technique. It also is very versatile. So with regard to DRE, we have tried with solar to heat the bamboo for bending and things like that. Yeah. I mean, the DRE side of it, so bamboo also has calorific value. So it can be used for cooking. And if the stoves are developed sustainable manner, they can also actually produce charcoal, which can be used both for, agricultural supplement and also for cleaning drinking water and things like that.
That's such an insightful perspective, Peter. Your involvement in disaster response efforts like the Odisha super cyclone and the tsunami rehabilitation projects is truly remarkable. Could you share some specific examples of how these projects help the communities rebuild their lives? Also, how do you think DRE solutions can be integrated into these kind of disaster relief efforts to create more resilient and sustainable livelihoods for rural communities?
Odisha super cyclone, one of our issues that we face in, trying to rescue people who were stranded, and boats was not available. There was no way to actually reach the stranded people. So we designed some boats using ferro cement technology that were low cost and easily fabricated by masons and things. The local masons were able to, fabricate these boats and things. Then after the cyclone itself, we worked with a lot of artisans and things similar to what we'd earlier done with the bamboo, teach them new concepts, new techniques, and, new tools and things like that they could use to create new items, which opened up their market outreach and their livelihood potential, because many people are moving towards plastics and things like that. No? So making items that would compete with the plastic, and they needed to be of higher quality and they needed to look attractive. And so by integrating, natural coloring, fine work and things like that, artisans were also able to make things like packaging material for high quality products and things like that. Some of the techniques and things require very fine, minute working of the bamboo and working of the materials. Some mechanization that enables that. We have made made with a hand-operated machine, so you feed in the material and turn it by hand. Definitely solarizing it, running it off a small DC motor and things would enable mass production, which would help the artisans also bring down the cost and compete better with the outside markets and things.
Yeah, definitely. So it's incredible how you have been able to turn challenges into opportunity for these communities. Let's shift our focus to another key area, empowering women through technologies. Experience, what are some of the unique challenges these women have faced while adopting to new technologies, and how can DRE machines or tools can be specifically designed to cater to their needs and ensure they're both accessible and user friendly?
Yes, we decided to focus on khadi being hand-woven and hand-spun material because it was very unique compared to other cloths and things that were in the market. And they were facing, difficulty in looking at, the markets and things. So the artisans were actually dwindling rapidly because products were not being sold. We looked at how we could first, the local community, utilize these cloth and things. So designing products that would sort of augment daily requirements or their own requirements. So with this, we thought to look at these menstrual pads and washable diapers and things like that, because also at that time there was a lot of promotion of these disposables coming into the villages and things. And because there was no established waste disposal or anything, then, it was becoming a total nuisance. So we worked with some of the women to design these products and also to try and market local. At first, it was definitely very difficult because it's a taboo sort of subject. So it was very difficult to sort of promote. It was more or less secretly promoted, by word of mouth and things like that. It wasn't, you can't put it up on a table in an exhibition and, promote in that way. So slowly the women found that it had benefit for them, but there were also issues because they didn't have, a place where they could wash clothes and things regularly and dry them and things like that. So it actually moved, these products were actually then marketed towards a city market because there, people had more of an opportunity to use these products. So from that, we then found from the city market a number of other issues that had arisen. Things like we designed products like breastfeeding kurta for women so they could breastfeed in public and things like that. Then baby slings to carry the babies and things like that, which was similar based on the traditional Bible slings and things like that. It made it comfortable for, city women also to be able to carry their children around and work in the kitchen or do housework and things whilst carrying their baby. Which, that it gave a different sort of attachment, if you like, for the mother and child. So there was a good response from that. Many people in the cities and stuff promoted this with their friends and things. And the market opened up quite well. We had about 10 tailors or so stitching for these products and things. So with the machines, all the machines we were using were pedal powered. So, the women actually could only operate for short periods of a time because it's painful to operate all the time. So definitely with some sort of motorized machines and things, it would definitely help to also promote, with amongst more women, this type of stitching. Even many of the houses are also very small, so they heat up very quickly and things, so fans. So all of this can potentially run on DRE and it would make it much more comfortable for the operators. One of the most important things I think in any of these technologies is that they need to be specifically designed for the operator. Many of the technologies are just designed inappropriately. So I think ergonomic and things, lightweight, these type of things are very important when designing these technologies.
Shortly, technology is crucial to empowering communities. Now, speaking of appropriate technologies, the Aid Rural Technology Resource Center works with traditional artisans to create tools that reduce hardship of village life. What are some of the main challenges you encounter while designing these technologies, and how do you work with local communities to overcome these barriers? How do you see DRE technologies playing a role in making these solutions more sustainable and accessible?
I think the main challenges that we encounter with the artisans is change is always a difficult thing. No? Many of these artisans have been, the techniques and procedure, if you like, has all been passed on generation after generation. So it's difficult to find artisans that are willing to take that next step and work with new tools or work with new techniques and things like that, because there's no guarantee for them. No? Like, it's not as if we're saying that we'll teach you something and you're guaranteed your income's going to increase X-fold or anything like that. So it's a big step for them, but we generally found that definitely it does help them to reach new markets and to, ease the toil of some of their procedures and processes and things like that by using these tools and techniques that we develop. So, what we've tried to also do is use the natural resources and with the help of the artisan to design sustainable, items that they can market and things like that, which will help other villages. So understanding joining technique and building technique with bamboo and things like that, for instance, allows for low cost and sustainable construction in the villages. Then pottery and things, we've worked with different types of water, obviously water vessels and things like that, pots and things like that, but also with like pottery refrigeration, pottery heating, so insulated vessels, using pottery create soundproof barriers and things. So using the natural resources that the traditional artisans, traditionally work with, it enables like a combination also with, worked with trying to combine pottery with bamboo and cane. So having cane weaving on mud pots and things like that, then having cast bronze handles on bamboo, baskets and things like that. So trying to ensure that all of the artisans continue working with their traditional mediums, but by integrating them also into product and to items. One of most successful, I think, products is what we called the Easy Cooker, which was actually just a bamboo basket lined with straw and jute, and it enabled the villagers to reduce their cooking requirement, whether it be gas or wood-fired or anything, by at least 50%. So you only needed to bring the water to boil for your rice and things, and then put it in the basket, and the rest of the cooking would be done residually from the residual heat within the basket. This also enabled villagers to prepare their meal early morning, take the basket into the field, and have a hot meal in the afternoon, and even, many times it would still be hot in the evening. They could also eat hot food. So these simple technologies sort of added comfort also to, village life. A very simple, low-cost technique, and gave the artisans another market outreach.
That's an important point about designing with the communities in mind. Moving on to sustainable farming, I know you have been focused on creating farm equipments that is both affordable and gender appropriate, like the Transfarm multigrain thresher. How do you gather feedback from small and marginal farmers to ensure these tools meet their needs? And what role do you see DRE technologies playing in transforming agriculture in rural communities, especially in making farming practices more sustainable and cost effective?
We were living in rural areas, farmers and things. We experienced the toils that they faced. They expressed issues that they had within their crop cycles and things like that. We also tried to promote things like natural farming and things by demonstration, but also by, this was demonstrating to other farmers. So they were also experimenting with similar things. They were giving us feedback and things like that. That led us to design, different tools and small machines and things like that would help to, reduce some of the toil in some of these processes and enable more farmers to take this on as an option to their tradition or their, chemical farming technique. Nowhere, no one had tried to design small-scale millet processing machinery and things. So we worked on, trying to redesign the machines based on the issues that the operators felt and things like that. And, basically just get them functional to some degree. They were basically very inefficient machines because they were not machines specifically designed for millets. They were machines that were designed for other commodities that were modified to process millet. So there were a lot of issues with the size. Millets are very, very small grains and things like that. So the screens were inappropriate. The percentage of brokens was extreme. You got very, very little rice out of, the process and things like that. And rice has the main value. So, it was not really a sustainable venture, if you like. So this went on for a while, and numerous NGOs and things tried with different manufacturers who were claiming to have designed machines and things. A number of pilots were set up throughout Andhra Pradesh and things. So we were involved in assessing the machines, assessing the output and the viability and things, and the issues also that all the different processing units were having and things, and trying to understand and design an appropriate sort of system for that. We worked on the grading machine first and things like that, looked at what the issues were and things, and we approached a number of different manufacturers who were manufacturing and supplying these supposed millet machines or general grain machines and things. Eventually what happened, we decided to just design and build the machines ourselves. So our initial venture was called Millet Machines and Tools, which we established in Kadri along with Dinesh of Earth 360 and Kiran Aid India. So we developed this, we established this company called Millet Machines and Tools along with Dinesh from Earth 360 and Kiran Visa from Asha Network and things in Hyderabad. We first worked on the grading machine because that was the primary machine for cleaning the grains, and it was essential that it worked effectively for farmers to get maximum return. We designed a machine that was mobile and enabled the machine to actually be taken in the village, and the material could be processed in the village itself, and then the finished material could be brought to the processing unit for further processing and things. So the primary processing was able to be done in the village. So after this machine, we then looked at the hulling. So the hulling is basically for the small millet where you have to remove the husk from the grain to get to the rice. So with this machine, the ones in the market were that people had been working on, the rice percentage was quite low. So we wanted to look at, what were the issues and what was the reasoning behind the such a low sort of broken to rice ratio. So we experimented with a few different techniques and things and came up with a centrifugal huller. So this is now, progressed to quite an efficient machine. We started a proprietorship then called Transfarm Technology. So that's where we're at the moment. We've now, have a package which includes the huller, grader, and destoner for small millet processing and things, which we have run both on AC and DC motors and things. So we've set up a number of these units on solar, and they run very effectively, very low power consumption. So all our machines are specifically designed with the end user in consideration. So most processing units, you'll find the women are actually the users and the operators of the machine, and in many times actually the owners also. So these machines are designed ergonomically for your average, 5'2" woman, to be able to operate comfortably without any aids or anything. You don't need to climb any steps, or you don't need to have, two people, one handing you material or anything. They're lightweight. They're very easy to clean. So cleanliness is essential in processing of food products, particularly with millets, because there are a multitude of millets. Now, there are 6 different varieties of small millets. So between each batch, you will need to, thoroughly clean the machine so you don't get any cross-contamination. But also, every day, it's essential to clean the machine because, you can get infestation and things from residual grains and broken material and things within the machine. So the machines need to be operator friendly and operator, maintenance friendly. If it's take 2 hours to open the machine and clean it and things, nobody's going to do it on a regular basis. No, but if it takes 5 minutes or something, then they can, integrate that into their daily work schedule. And so the same with maintenance. These machines shouldn't require regular maintenance and things like that because they're always situated in remote areas and, particularly running on, renewable energies and things like that. They are generally in places where they won't have access to any spares and things like that. So any, maintenance issue can actually mean like months of downtime in effect. So these machines are designed to have very minimal maintenance requirements. The grader, other than changing oil every few months or something, maybe once a year in the gearbox. Other things are only cleaning. The huller, very easily, you can open and clean and things. And the replaceable items are maybe annual. So, it's not a regular maintenance issues and things with, bearings and belts and all these sort of things. We've tried to, negate all of these within the design. So like this, we also looked at other machines and other crops and things like that. So this millet processing unit now has gone under test from Indian Council of Agricultural Research and has ICAR certification. So they've all been tested. And so we then went to look at, other types of commodities and things that, the farmers and the villagers were having issues with. The focus or the main reason why we got into all of this in the beginning is that we wanted to look at what we were calling a circular economy then, which circular economy that we were envisaging was that, whatever was produced locally was consumed locally. So the raw material was processed locally, and then it was, a value addition was done locally, and then the consumption was also local. So it helped to rebuild the rural economy and also encourage, the rural community to encourage their siblings and their children and everybody to stay within the community. Because what is generally happening is that, what little money that, the community do earn, they're purchasing material from outside. So all their money is going out of the community. So, produced by your multinationals and things like that, your biscuits and cakes and chips and things. And also because farming is not, an economically sustainable venture in the eyes of, the youth and things like that. They've all looked at going to cities and things. So not only the money is going out of the villages, but also the human resource is also leaving. They're encouraged to study outside. They're encouraged to, join the military or go and work in the city and find a job and things like that. So we wanted to reverse that transition and get the farmers to encourage their children children to stay in the villages and see a viable, option, viable entrepreneurial ventures that they could be involved in using, DRE technologies and simple tools and things like that, which would enable them to, do processes without, excessive toil and things. Because if it's difficult to do, then it's difficult to encourage people to do it. So the multi-grain thresher is one of the machines that actually initially we looked at designing a low-cost machine purely for the peppercorn, so decorning the pepper from the bush or from the stem sort of thing. Because the machines that they were using currently were quite large machines and running on diesel and things like that. So we wanted to design something that would use very little power or could run on DRE and things. So we designed this thresher on that aspect. But then we found that, talking to the farmers and things like that, that the use of this thresher would only be, maximum a couple of weeks in a year. So the rest of the time it would be sitting idle. So where was the, incentive for a farmer or even a group of farmers to purchase a machine? So we looked at what other crop that they grew throughout the season and in the local area and things like that. And there were, things like millets and there were pulses and all these sort of things. So we decided to design the machine to enable them to not only use it for threshing the, peppercorns, but they could also use it for millets. They could also use it for pulses and things. So, it's designed to be, multi-purpose for multi-commodities and things. Simple, adjustments and things like that. Once you start to try and integrate multiple processes into a single machine, you integrate multiple issues. So keeping one process with one machine makes it simple and sustainable. So we've stuck with that, understanding and designed the machines accordingly. So this is very lightweight. It's low cost. It, runs on a DC motor with a battery. It can be charged with a solar panel. So it enables it to be taken, in very remote areas and allows the farmers to actually do the threshing in situ, leave all the residual waste and everything in the farm, which help to, rebuild the soil and just take the finished product back to the store rather than carting everything, to the village and then processing and then having to take everything back. So it cuts down on that, footprint of transport and things like that, and also reduces the energy requirement to do the process.
Feedback from ground is indeed crucial for designing impactful solution. Lastly, I want to talk about the circular economy and upcycling. Through initiatives like Eureka Livelihood Centre, you have promoted the upcycling of industrial packing material into educational aids, creating a more circular economy model. Can you elaborate on the impact this approach has had on local communities, and how can DRE technologies be integrated into these initiatives to enhance this circular economy model, turning waste into valuable resources for income generation? And what steps do you think can be taken to replicate and scale these models to benefit even more regions across India?
So, the Eureka Livelihood Centre was an initiative that, came about as a rehabilitation after the tsunami in Tamil Nadu. So, we, were in contact with some companies and things who, during the tsunami efforts and things like that, they had supported with some, packaging and some assistance with their vehicles to move material for, for rehabilitation for the people that were affected from a tsunami. So one of the companies that had offered their services was a company that actually manufactured wind turbines, so very large, power generating turbines. So they were a European-based company manufacturing in India. So a lot of their raw materials or their components, in fact, were coming from Europe. So they came in large container boxes and things that were made of beautiful, Norwegian timbers and things like that. So we were able to get hold of these material and, upcycle it into both school furniture and things like that, which the CSR wing of the company actually purchased from us and distributed through 7 states in India that they were working in with their wind turbines and things like that. But also through our Eureka program, so with Aid India, we designed small, simple educational aids that enabled right from, kindergarten children to, 10th, 11th standard children, different tools that would assist them in understanding the methods and techniques. Because many of these children that, Eureka were working with are first generation learners. So they are not, experienced, or they don't have any background in, with books, and like they're first generation. No one in their family has ever done any schooling or anything. No? So their exposure to, the traditional, if you like, methods of education, they weren't familiar with. So we were able to design, tools and aids from these waste material or these upcycled materials by resizing them, coloring them, cutting them. So we had woodworking center and we had the craft center and things with, tailoring machines. So the plastics and things we could stitch and, wood we could reshape and things to create different aids. So, the designs were also recognized by UNDP, and large scale, distribution was done throughout Tamil Nadu and things like that. So, as well as with Aid India, the villages, because there was such a demand for this, we were able to, employ quite a few villages, local villages and things like that, and teach them new livelihood technique thing. And they could later on, go on and all of them, were able to sort of take up their own initiatives later and things like that. Not necessarily with this, focus, but with the skills they learned and things, they were able to sort of build their own livelihoods and things like that. So, many of these tools and things that are used are very simple, cutting machines, drilling machines and things like this, which have low power requirements, so they can easily be run on, solar energy and can be established in multiple places to, provide these teaching aids to the multitude of schools and, Anganwadis and things in rural villages throughout India. I mean, they are very simple techniques, but they're very effective also.
Definitely. Before we wrap it up, do you have any message for our listeners?
Message? Well, I mean, my reasoning, if you like, to getting into any of this is that I believe the only way forward is a sustainable approach. I think, in our everyday life, we have to look at every action that we do and understand, is this sustainable, and how can we make it more sustainable? Simple things like composting or, recycling, growing some herbs in the kitchen or on the balcony or something. Any simple thing makes a difference. I mean, nothing is too small, but, I think we should turn our, thoughts towards sustainability, and that will, help. If everybody just takes a small step, it'll make a huge step against the climate change.
Sharing your valuable insights and for the amazing work that you're doing to uplift rural communities through innovative and sustainable solutions. It's clear that decentralized renewable energy has the potential not only to transform livelihood, but also empower communities to build a resilient and sustainable future. To our listeners, thank you for tuning in. If you have enjoyed this conversation, don't forget forget to subscribe to Urja Talk for more discussions on how renewable energy and innovative solutions are shaping the rural landscape. Until next time, keep thinking green and keep making a difference. This is Muskan Jain signing off from Urja Talk. Have a wonderful day and let's continue to work towards a sustainable and brighter future for all. Thank you.